Alright, welcome to day 75 of Mastering Astral Projection. So today's method is the rollout method, and we've talked a little bit about this because I've been doing it on my own. The rollout method is essentially just rolling over like you would in bed. It's so you kind of have to really pay attention to how you roll over in bed and then repeat that. Although Brian has a really interesting technique which I think is pretty cool. It is, while you're laying there, imagine that you are turning your body at 1 o'clock. And what would that feel like? And spend time just being with that. Then do 2 o'clock and stay with that for a little while and feel what that's like. And then do 3 o'clock until you go all the way around the clock. So you've made a full rotation. You can only do this laying down. You can do kind of a roll-off method if you do a chair, which I've done, but it's a lot easier to do this method if you're laying down. But that shouldn't stop you from trying anyway. But then he says once you get around the entire clock, try going through the whole clock, but do it quicker until you can get to the point where you can really feel the rolling sensation. This really does take some time to get the hang of. I'm still doing the thing where when I'm doing my energy body loosening, I imagine that my body parts are extending out from my physical body, kind of in an etheric body, like I can see the outline of it. I see it as blue. And the point is to move your awareness to the side. I've had really good success with this, and it really does feel interesting. You really feel like you're disconnected from your body. So the influencing sleep patterns section, this time I wanted to talk about wake-up time patterning. This one's really tough. I've tried doing this at various times. It is effective. The first time I ever had a lucid dream, I was doing this method. And basically you get up at about 4:30 in the morning. You can pick really any time you want, but there are a lot of people that say that 4 o'clock in the morning is the best time to do it. According to the Chinese clock, between 3 and 5 a.m. is long meridian time, and because the lungs have to do with breath, and the focus on breath is a really powerful method for bringing your awareness into yourself. That time is a really opportune time to really move that energy. The problem for me is it's really hard to get back to sleep. So it's one of the reasons that I don't like to do it, because I always had sleep challenges. But the other thing you can do is just practice anytime early in the morning. So the method goes like this. In the morning, for 2 weeks, you wake up early. You can set your alarm clock and maybe about 2 hours prior to when you would normally wake up. And you do your OBE sessions. And then after 2 weeks, instead of doing your regular OBE routine, you actually splash cold water on your face or take a shower as if you're getting ready to go somewhere. And when you feel awake and alert, you go to your OBE practice area. Don't take any caffeine. And then you essentially clear your mind, lay down or sit, and allow yourself to go to sleep. And when you're allowing yourself to go to sleep, you're actually keeping your mind alert to what's going on, keeping your focus on your breath. You can do your OBE affirmations. You can do the brainwave generator. But you want to bring your attention to your breath, and what you're trying to cultivate is a sort of autopilot sensation where you are awake and asleep at the same time, essentially. So it's really promoting the mind awake, body asleep. And record everything in your notebook to facilitate the experience and just get the practice going so that you can do this. He even suggests doing something like you might do it during the week, and then do your regular OBE experiences on the weekend, or vice versa. You could do this regular OBE all week long, and then do this mind awake, body asleep technique on the weekends. And he says if you don't have success with this method after several attempts, consider setting an alarm clock. And the way that this would work was you might try setting the alarm clock for an hour after you've gone to sleep. So imagine that you take about a half an hour to go to sleep, and then you'll be in REM for a half hour, and you'll want to wake yourself up when you're in that dreaming state. And you can even hit the snooze bar over and over to keep falling back to sleep and waking up again, to really promote that experience of moving into the lucid dream. And and he says basically because waking up from a light sleep can trigger a hastier than usual reintegration process. So really helping your memory, actually. I've played around with things like this a lot, and I know that it does help your memory with your dreams. And as you know, I do remember my dreams really well. So my dream last night, as a matter of fact, was very interesting because I had somebody give me a message. It was this guy. He was like a rock star or blues star or something, and I was sitting on his property waiting to go somewhere when he happened to pull out of his garage to go on tour. And I ran into him in a casino, and people were walking up and cashing in little bundles of chips and things, and they had very sad looks on their faces. But he came up with this huge brown paper bag full of cash, and he set it on the counter, and he's like, I want to trade this in or whatever. And he had this just big shit-eating grin on his face. He was just so stoked with life. I ran into him again later, and he walked up to me, and he had cut his hair. I don't know what that signifies, but he had another big brown paper bag full of cash. He says, just for kicks, see how much cash you can grab with both of your hands. So I stuck my hand in the bag, but instead of just grabbing what I could, I arranged all of the bills in a very methodical way so that I was able to grab almost the entire bag's worth of cash in both of my hands, because the way that everything was stacked, things were leafed in, and I pulled out this big wad of cash, and I even had cash hanging out of my mouth. And he looked at me like, oh, I didn't expect that. That was interesting. But then he started pulling the leaves, these bills that were sticking out the side, off, and he actually managed to whittle down my pile to a very small chunk of cash that was in my hands. And he took that back from me, and then I reached over and I grabbed a couple napkins, and I started wiping off the bills that were hanging out of my mouth. I know it sounds kind of disgusting, but in the dream it was fine. And I gave that back to him, and he pulled out his checkbook. He said, I'm going to give you 200. And that was the end of the dream. When he said, I'm going to give you 200, I really got the impression it wasn't he was going to give me $200. He was going to give me $200,000. So it was a very nice gift. So one that I could use right now, actually. Anyway, so I thought it was kind of a fun dream. And one of the most important parts, the message. He looked at me and he said, I win because I have a winner's attitude.